All right, it is Thursday, July 2nd, and we're live here. Took last week off, but this week, jumping back into Node CLI tools. This week, I'm going to be taking a look at the Open CLI framework, oclif. Um, Honestly, I know next to nothing about it. I stumbled upon it yesterday. Um, and just briefly looking at the docs, it seemed like an interesting tool, um, a full framework there for building Node CLI utilities instead of having to piece together different packages like yargs and chalk and the various ones to get all those things that you want in a CLI framework. And it seemed like there were tools there for namespaces and nested commands. So I'm just interested to see how it works, if it makes developing Node CLI utilities easier, and if it's something that if I were to make one that I'd want to use. So honestly, starting knowing next to nothing, I'm just going to kind of walk through the docs, see what I can do with it, um, and we'll go from there. All right, so build CLI. I'm not going to watch that video live because that would be silly. We hop to the let's hop to the getting started here. It's framework requirements, node. With oclif, you can create two different CLI types, single and multi. So one of the things when I was just glancing at the docs that I liked was this structure here, where you have a commands directory and the name of the commands um, are the name of the files. This is similar to what we have in CFML with command box, and that structure just worked for me. So I let's see how I'm not sure how it's actually going to work, but I liked that general structure. Um, I feel like a lot of CLI utilities that you write end up being multi commands like this. So having that option is there is nice. Um, Now, so I'm going to walk through here and just see how this goes. Text is included in npm and auto installs and runs the oclif generator. All right, hop over to iterm here. We're going to run npx oclif. So multi is going to create one of those namespaced projects, and my new CLI will be the project. We'll start with the basic walkthrough because let's not get creative. Let's just get this up and running and see if we can get it to work, and then we can get more particular. If I can get this up and running, what I'll probably do is take some of the demo CFML command line projects that I've worked on and see if I can port them over. All right, so this is the generator, super nice npm package name, my new CLI. So we'll stick with that for now. Command bin name the CLI will export. We'll also go with my new CLI for now. Description, testing out oclif. Author, nice, perfect. Version will start at 0, MIT, perfect. Who's the owner? Yeah. I like this generator off the bat. This is really nice. What is the GitHub name of the repository? Sure, my new CLI. Now, okay, they had a thing here. Honestly, my node is uh, why node TypeScript or JavaScript? Should I use npm or yarn? Doesn't make a difference. If you're getting started, keep it simple and use npm. Well, I am just getting started, so uh, I'll stick with npm to begin with. TypeScript, honestly, I'm just going to go with yes, and I'll roll with the examples. And if that ends up causing a disaster, I'll roll back because honestly, I haven't done a TypeScript project before. Use ESLint, sure, why not? I mean, I might want to turn these off when I try it again. I mean, yes, I'll have testing included. Add CI services config, circle CI, okay. We press space to select, A to toggle all. We're not going to do any of those to begin with, but that's a nice option. All right, so now it's creating it. Package.json, tsconfig.json, the various tests, bin run command. All right. That was a very nice walkthrough for getting started. That scaffolding tool is pretty great there. Um, so off the bat, I definitely like that. So now I wonder if it does it link this off the bat if I type my new CLI, which is what brings me into the directory. I don't think that's hooked up yet. My new CLI. Okay, command not found. Clear. All right. So we're in the project. We're just going to take a look at this. Over here, my new CLI. So in here, source commands hello. Oh, so this was nested. Well, let's hop back to the docs before we just try to figure it out by walking through that. You can call your CLI anything by replacing that. Obviously, I didn't. We're setting it up with npx. That's fine. So that's how we would install oclif. This helpful docs walking you through these various things. That's very cool. We got the message. Your CLI has been created and the relevant code is in the my CLI directory. So we're in it. All right, so for trying your CLI locally, you'll have to do bin run when users install your CLI. You can now run the CLI. So what are we saying here? We're saying we can do bin run hello. So I have to remember that. Bin run hello. Okay. I mean, you don't get that. So let's look at the project structure here. I could probably live with this. Bin run. So if we're running it locally, we need to run our commands that way, which is the equivalent of when it's installed. And that happens, okay. And then there's a built-in help command. So we can do, I'm going to need a shortcut for bin run because I don't feel like typing that every time. Bin run help. Testing out oclif version, usage, commands, hello, and help. Very nice built-in docs there. Like that off the bat. I'm going to need an alias, a ZSH alias for doing the bin run, but let's work our way through the docs here a little bit more. Okay, to run my new CLI, okay. Oh, I'm not going to need an alias. I can just run npm link, and then I can do it. And then I wonder if I can do, I wonder if, let's just try this out. So in here I can do npm link. All right, and now I can do my new CLI. Nice. My new CLI help. Clear. Now, is it npm unlink? Is that the reverse? My new CLI. Sweet. Wrong thing. npm link. All right, so back up and running with that npm link, kind of essential there. We've got the command installed. I imagine if we run, we'll have to run npm link again if we make updates to the files. Create a new command, call goodbye either by moving source commands hello to goodbye. Ooh, so I used to hate CLI scaffolding tools, but now I really like them. So I love, not that I would even use it that often or use it often enough to remember it, but the fact that I can just run npx oclif command goodbye and it'll scaffold that for me within the directory is really cool. So we're going to do it that way. Um, Having that functionality there, I think, is um, really developer friendly. And if someone actually is serious about using your tool, they're going to remember those and use them instead of just copying and pasting files. Um, Although maybe copying and pasting files would be faster than I need to get oclif installed locally, so it doesn't need to run through that every single time. All right, so, oh, that's nice though. By running the command, it automatically scaffolds the tests for me and updates the README and the commands rather than just doing that myself that way. So that's very cool. Um, Now, I wonder if package link is run or if I need to rerun that myself. My new CLI, hello, still works, but does my new CLI goodbye work? It does. Very cool. And in their docs here, import command from, okay, so we're gonna hop in to that goodbye command. Are we replacing the whole thing with that? Replace it, yeah. So let's see what they scaffolded first. All right, in here, import command and flags from the oclif command. We're exporting goodbye. It extends the oclif command. So once again, this run method where everything happens also resonates with me. Um, that's how the command box CFML uh, command is structured, and I've found it's just a very friendly way for developers to, you know, file name is the command, run is what happens, and your code goes in there. And I really like that. Um, so that's cool. And then flags. I guess they scaffold it with a name. I guess they scaffold them basically like hello world. Hello world commands. Const name flags world. Hello name from the file name if args.file and flags force, you input force and file. So it's kind of cool. Um, they've got a block here with the flags that you can define. Um, so they show you how you can have a name flag, and if that name flag is present, it gets used. Otherwise, world is used. Um, and then they show you here with the login um, that you can do a force, and you can also pass in a file. Okay, so we're going to replace this. I like that as the structure for a templated command, just to show you what's possible with it. I mean, it gives you a whole range of functionality. In here, just going to console log goodbye world. Are those updated automatically? My new CLI goodbye. Goodbye world. It does update automatically. So that's really nice there. I don't need to relink or re-update anything by doing npm link there. The changes to my files are picked up automatically, and I've got goodbye world. Okay, so let's just keep working through the docs here. All right, that's it for the basic walkthrough, and I like that. We'll continue to generate our command because I'm not sure. I think this is probably their own scaffolding. Okay, so all right, I'm going to go back here because I think this is going to make my life easier. I'm going to install this globally so that I have it available. And we'll hop back to the docs here, generator commands. Um, So this tool, if I do oclif command, I can add new commands to a project. And honestly, that I'll remember that syntax with it installed globally. That's actually not that hard. Oclif help command displays the help for oclif itself. I haven't figured out, I haven't found out, haven't read what hooks are. Interesting. Have to find that out. oclif multi, this is what we ran at the beginning to generate a new multi-command CLI. Also haven't looked into what plugins are. And the single command. All right, sweet. Commands look like this. The part that required is the run function. Accept user input with arguments and flags. So that's arguments are going to be the next thing that we hit, and then flags are what we're going to hit following that. This is the JavaScript version. Okay. Once again, okay, note the following examples will be in TypeScript. I'm glad I picked TypeScript for my demo project. Other command options. See the base class to get an idea of what methods can be called on a command. Just open that in a new tab. All right, we're not gonna dig through this too much. Well, confirming that that's unused. Description, whether it's hidden. See if these are in the docs anywhere. All right. Flag, export my command, extends command stack. The description of the command can be multi-line. Very cool. Whether it's going to be hidden from the help, a usage example. So right now, I'm very defining the whole command within here. To me, is a lot easier than patching stuff together with yargs. And maybe that's just me because yargs is widely used, but building a CLI command with that for me was difficult, and this clicks and this makes sense. All right, so we got warn, error, and exit that we can run. Okay. Example. So this is a helpful doc here. We can log, we can warn, we can error, we can exit. Outputs message standard out, non-blocking. Console log will respond, but that's a blocking call. User told that format. Okay. So this .log is the way that we want to do it. We can also do warning messages. Options, the options object. Is that just for errors? It is, okay. Errors has an options where you can provide more feedback. That's actually very cool. So throw an error, give feedback saying, you know, did you mean this, etc. Like that a lot. All right. Okay, so this is just, what are we in? We're just in commands here. So the command is whatever's in that source commands directory. Looks like there's a lot that we can define. Let's hop into arguments. Arguments are positional. Arguments passed to the command. For example, if this command was run with my CLI arg1, arg2, it would be declared like this. Okay. Let's grab this. Static args. Let's just grab this, drop it in, and see what goes on. So let's drop this below. in here. Oh, because we have ESLint in the project. Okay. Import command from oclif plus my extends command args. Okay, cool. Get rid of this. This is the demo from before. So we're in goodbye here. Maybe not the best place for this. All right, we got it. I should not have added. All right, ESLint. Sorry. Uh, so what is ESLint getting upset about here? It's whatever settings Prettier has. All right, so ESLint, 2 tabs, and fix this problem, disable indent for this line, fix all indent problems, disable indent for the entire file, show documentation for indent, open, all right, indent. This row is a mixed option, for example, for 2-space indentation, indent error 2. Tabbed indentation. So what did it say? Sorry, getting bogged down here. Expected indentation of 3 spaces, but found 2 tabs. Do we have? So I guess we'll just try dropping that in here. Did I drop it in after extends? Maybe. How do so I haven't used. You know what? I'm not gonna get bogged down in this. ESLint will be a project for another day. Goodbye. Why would, all right, let's quit that. iTerm code. Goodbye. Nice. I don't want to see red lines. All right, so we've updated this. Export my CLI. Static args name first arg name second arg run. Okay. I'm just gonna do my new CLI. Goodbye. So there's no args there. My new CLI. Goodbye. First. Second. We're getting that twice because what? Because we're showing that it can be done. All right, because you can parse those args as an array. So I'd much rather them named than as an array. But it's helpful to know that you can do it either way. The options that arguments can have. So they have a name. Let's drop all these in here. Obviously, we don't have two args, so let's drop out the array notation, even though that's helpful to know. We'll drop out the second arg here because it's not coming in. We're just looking at that first arg. So the name is file, sure, required. So let's make it required true. Description, output file, hidden, hide this arg from help. Okay, nice to know that that's there, but I'm not going to use that much. Parse input. Instead of the user input, return a different value. I'm going to comment this out now. I'm wondering, so if we give it a default, then true probably won't matter. And then options A and B only allow input to be from a discrete set. So world would probably break here. See what happens with this kind of gnarly thing. My new CLI, goodbye. So first we'll do nothing. Undefined. My new CLI, goodbye. That shouldn't be undefined, but whatever. Help. Expected help to be one of A, B, C, more help with help. That's cool. Now it's also required. I guess what happens here. Let's see what happens with this. My new goodbye world. Oh, derpy derp. I'm saying first arg, but this is actually file. So you know what? If we get rid of this, that would be interesting. Term, my new CLI goodbye world, because that's default. That works great. Now, so I guess the default, if the default is passed in, that overrides the options. Good to know. If we drop out the default and don't pass anything in, my new CLI goodbye, missing one required arg file, the output file, see more help with help. I like that a lot. Very clear way to define the arguments that can be passed in and to give some feedback and structure on what's available for them. Now, the one I didn't check out there was parse. That's interesting. Let's just see what that does. Yeah, that's fine. Clear. My new CLI, goodbye. Still using that stock one. And then let's do test. Okay, my new goodbye A, running my command with args output. So that's interesting. I'm imagining that parse can be a function where you take the input, like maybe I could return input.len length. Yeah. So I guess parse there is a transformer function that gives you a little ability to manipulate the user input prior to it being handled within that run command. Nice. All right. 30 minutes in, like this a lot. Seems very powerful and helpful, and more organized and structured than working with a patchwork of different packages. Flags are non-positional arguments passed to a command. Flags can either be option flags, which take an argument, or Boolean flags, which do not. An option flag must have an argument. For example, if this command was run like this, my CLI force dash dash file my file, it would be declared like this. Flags. Force is a Boolean, and it could be force or F. Cool. File is flags. And file is a string. Now, I wonder what kind of support they have for file, as in validating that it is a file, but that's probably getting a little bit ahead of myself. Force is set. If that file is flags.file. Oclif supports a wide range of alternative flag inputs. These are at the bottom of this page. Okay, so those are at the bottom here. Here are some other ways the user can use input flags. This is assuming the command has flags like -f, -file, and -v, -verbose, -verbose, -v, -file equals foo, -file space foo, dash. Oh, okay, so just saying, very cool. You can input these -f foo, -v, f foo. Okay, so I mean, super helpful to know that you can input those in a range of ways that someone who's building standard Unix CLI commands might care about. All right, here are the options flags can have for a string, shorter version, description, hidden or not, multiple. Oh, that's interesting and very cool. Defaulting it to an environment variable, very helpful. Options, parse, default, required. This is not common. You should probably use an argument instead, like that. Very cool. Depends on. Exclusive, extra flag. This flag cannot be specified alongside this flag. Also, having little things like this, I mean, that's some next level consideration. I really like that. Flags with no value, Boolean character, the default for it. Boolean flags may be reversed with a dash dash no dash. Okay. I mean, I don't need to drop this in there. It's a very well structured approach to flags. So the syntax for these is dash or dash dash for a Boolean, dash dash file equals dash dash file space dash f. Okay, yeah. And then custom flags. For larger CLIs, it can be useful to declare a custom flag that can be shared amongst multiple commands. Here's an example of a custom flag. Import flags from multiple command function get team. Export const team. Import team from flags. In the Heroku CLI, we use flags for our app flag, which take advantage of a lot of functionality. It can be useful to see how this is done to get ideas for making a custom flag. Larger CLIs, it can be useful to declare a custom flag that can be shared among multiple plans. All right, so I've never structured a CLI that's that robust, so I have not needed this. Helpful to know that functionality is there. Configuration, name, version, bin, cache directory, config directory. This is interesting because I did want to see how stuff was stored. Includes an error log. User home, platform, debug, npm registry. It's often useful to have a custom configuration for your users. One way to implement this is to read a config.json file from the CLI's config directory. Import command, export as fs, import as path, use a base class. Okay, so I'm imagining that in my project here there is no base config file. Let's just see. This is probably going to break. What's happening? Okay, so let's run here oclif command config. It's going to make a config command. Very nice. We'll hop into here, hop into config, drop in this, and I imagine that this is going to break. My new CLI config. No such file. Users Matthew. Oh, interesting. Is looking for it in .conf. This .config.configdir. Let's take a look at this. Let's take a look at the docs here. Path join this.config.config. Inside a command, this.config provides useful properties you can use. All right. So before we have it read the user config, let's have it log the global config. And I think we said we could do this.log. This.log, this.config. See how that goes. Didn't ask it to read that. Oh, no, I did ask it to read that. My bad. Let's clear this out. Clear. Sweet. Okay. So, config. Root. Base debug. Plugins. Don't care about any of that. Root. PJSON. Dev dependencies. Engine. Files. Homepage. It's not there yet. Collect commands. Lib. Repository. Scripts. My new CLI. Configure. So, does this exist? Did they make this for me? Oh, yes, dash Matthew dot config. Yeah, that doesn't. Interesting. the CLI config directory, Unix. All right, so I mean, this doesn't exist, so I guess working with this, I'd have to take more care, check if the directory exists, and then create it. It's often useful to have a custom configuration for your users. Okay, so yeah, I guess that config directory does not exist, and I mean, were I to use it, I would need to create that and use that as the location for storing things. Okay. As multi-CLIs can grow, it can be useful to nest commands within topics. Okay, I like knowing that this is here. I've seen a lot of projects that use this structure, um, but that's a bit, I haven't needed to build a command of that nature yet, so I'm just going to skip that. I did want to see what hooks were. All right, so hooks expose lifecycle events. Hooks are run in parallel. That might change the basic hook. Looks like the following in TypeScript. The init hook running. A hook must also be declared with the event's name and the hook file path under the oclif's settings. So, all right. Init pre-run, post-run, and command not found, along with things that we can run ourselves. So let's generate one of these ourselves, just to take a look at how the hooks work. Oclif hook, my hook, event init. Let's overwrite package JSON. Yes. No. Oh, that's super helpful. Check that out. A, override this and all others. X tells you what it does. Whoa, that is a user-friendly CLI feature. D and H. Help list all options. Let's go D. Oh, wow. That's a really nice CLI utility there. Showing me what the options are and then showing me the differences like that. And yeah, I mean, I want to overwrite it. I want the hooks to get added, so I'm going to go with yes, overwrite. Clear, and those are going to be it's going to be in hooks. And since I used the CLI, those tests were generated. Haven't taken a look at those yet. Hooks, example of a hook running. So first of all, let's just run my new CLI. Hello. Example hook running hello. So that runs right there before the actual command. So what gets passed? What gets passed into those? Example hook running. Well, obviously, I just want to. I wonder if I can use this. This.log opt. Just see what that does. Opt shows us the command that ran, the args that were passed in, the options, the base. I mean, if you're going to hook into it, this is what you really care about, what command is running and the args that were passed into it, I imagine. I guess there's some other things in the config you could take care of. If it was the config command, maybe you check that this config directory exists and create it the first time. But those hooks to latch into the lifecycle, that's very cool. Um, could do cleanup there. Okay, custom events. So you can call this.config.runHook for hooks yourselves if you want to handle analytics. Not something I'm interested in yet. All right, so they mentioned plugins. Oh my gosh, this is all right. So I'm definitely not going to get through everything tonight because I haven't gotten to prompting and testing. I'm going to look at plugins and then I think I'm going to wrap it after that because there's so much going on here. But I do have to say that if I were to build a Node CLI utility, um, I would use I'd use oclif because it seems like so much is there right out of the box, um, that makes your life just so much easier. The structure of the commands and the args, it's very intuitive. Defining it and what you're trying to do is very clear. Um, really like that. So we'll take a look at plugins and then maybe at help classes, and then I'm going to wrap this up for tonight, and I'll probably dive into it more next week just to get a little bit more comfortable with it. Or maybe I'll just try to start building something with this next week because I think that's probably a more practical and like me approach. Plugins are a great way to offer experimental functionality. Allow users to extend your CLI, break up a CLI into modular components, or share functionality between CLIs. Plugins can have commands or hooks just like it. So plugins can have commands or hooks just like a CLI. To add a plugin such as not found plugin, all right. If you want users to be able to install their own plugins in your CLI, use the plugins plugin. Um, plugins command, plugins autocomplete. This looked interesting. All right, I'm still not sure entirely how this works though. So I guess plugins themselves provide further functionality for the framework. Um, so let's just take a look at autocomplete here since that's one that I'd be interested in. Um, autocomplete plugin. Display autocomplete installation instructions, oclif example autocomplete shell. Let's go with usage, plugins, commands. So I'm wondering if this generates the script that you have to load into ZSH. And then there's community plugins here. Adds a conf command to share state configuration between commands. Interesting, add yours. So there's more plugins. Oh, well, there aren't more there. All right, let's add a commands command to list all the commands. It shows which plugin a command comes from. So how do we add? We add it in our package JSON. Let's try adding that autocomplete one in our package JSON. Might need to reinstall if we do this. All right. Let's do clear npm install clear. Now if we do my new CLI autocomplete, how does this, that's installed. Do I need, well, it says the command's not found. Let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of that hook. Or the hook can run, but we're not going to let it log anything because that's not what we're trying to do right now. Autocomplete not found. So we installed the plugin. Oclif example autocomplete bash dsh refresh cache. I'm reading the docs on plugins. Okay. Plugins can have commands to add a plugin such as the not found. First add it to your CLI with yarn add, then add the following to your package JSON. So do I need to also add this? Well, it got added to dependencies. Oh, then in the oclif section, maybe I have to add it that way. All right. Oops. Zoopsie, zoopsie. Oh, okay. Building the autocomplete cache, done. Set up instructions for my new CLI autocomplete. Add the autocomplete env var to your ZSH profile and source it. Printf. Very cool. So it does integrate with, it knows that I'm using the Z shell. It generates the script, pipes it in, adds it to the ZSHRC, and then you can make sure that it runs, and then you get autocomplete for your command. That's, so plugins extend the framework. It seems that plugins are primarily built by oclif. That's fine. I like that a lot. Help classes, -h, custom help. I guess you can define that yourself. Extending, I mean, help's important, but I'm not super worried about that right now. Error handling. Can do a bunch there. All right. I still have how to release with npm. Wow, you can generate a Mac OS installer. It's really cool. Testing, I want to take a look at. We set it up with Mocha. I mean, I didn't build those tests. So if I do npm test, what happens here? Okay, completely broken. Got a lot of coverage, but all the tests failed. I'm not going to look at tests this week. I'm going to get pulled down a rabbit hole if I keep digging into this. So testing, And prompting, they have their own prompts library. Nothing in here with colors, but that's fine. Spinner, I guess if you're downloading or doing something like that. Super nice. Table, is that for outputting data in the table? Let's see if we have it. Yes. Super helpful. All right. I'm going to pause it right here because I like this a lot. Um, I think if I were to build something, I'd use this. So maybe for next week, rather than running through the rest of the docs, maybe I'll do that. But I might come up with a project that I want to try to build with it as a starting point. But honestly, super happy with this. Um, I like the structure that the framework provides, and I think that it makes it a lot easier to build these CLI commands with Node. So I'm going to call that a success and sign off for the night. Thanks for watching, and maybe I'll see you next week.